Yo, it's a CypherTalk podcast, and we have a family member in the house today. Our third cousin, me and Andrew's third cousin. Is that correct? That's correct. I checked with Jane. She checked like the whole.
She did the research.
Family tree thing. I was like, this is what, because like your grandpa is cousins with our grandpa.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our parents are cousins. Isn't that right? No. Wait. It could be wrong.
It's weird.
It's
we'll talk about it after with Jane because she broke it down to me yesterday, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because like when like in Filipino culture, you're just cousins.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's a line. Well, like I don't know. With us growing up, it's just like we're told they're your cousins and don't ask any questions. They're your cousins.
Well, you don't even think about asking questions,
right?
It's like they're on. Yo, you guys were What happened was like you guys were on the west side. You guys like lived like around like the west side or like further away from us. And me and Andrew, our like section of the family or part of the clan lived on the north side.
North side. North? I thought you guys were in Maples.
Well, I know where I lived. We live in the north side. There's some people who live like around Burroughs and like McPhillips and stuff like that. Yeah, like
who was it that was? Anyways,
yeah. So and then we're like, oh, and then we only saw you guys at social events like the booze or birthday parties, or whatever. And it was just. And then that's where I saw you breaking for the first time.
There you go.
But it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, when you see something that, like, you don't think about it too much, it's just like, oh, face value. Oh, that's cool.
Very cool. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, interesting. That's what they're doing.
So if you guys don't know who I'm talking to, it's Bboy Ruude with two U's. And otherwise known to us as Kuya Kyle.
Kuya Kyle.
So, yeah, man. From Dangerous Goods crew,
Dead Sea Assassins. What else is there? There's Wintour. There's a whole bunch, but mostly Winnipeg. that's the one that I rep the most out of anything. Winnipeg and Dangerous Goods for sure. That's where we're from. That's where we're proud to be from, and that's what we show the world where we're from and how we do things, kind of deal. So, Winnipeg.
Yeah. Like I'm a huge fan of breaking, of course, obviously you guys could tell, but one moment that really sticks in my mind is like I believe it's 2006 at was it Break for Bread? 2006 Break for Bread, when they had the battles at Sisler.
Yeah. In the gym, in the
multi-purpose theater.
Yeah, multi-complex.
So that is Break for Bread. Yeah, thought so. Second guessing myself. That's what happens when you don't sleep.
Like we just came from a jam, so like everyone is on the same tip right now, right? So, but yeah, Dangerous Goods. Break for Bread, super huge, right? Young B-boy growing up, especially in Winnipeg with a really small scene back then. That was one of like the holy grails. Right, so we never had that many jams. We only had 2 jams a year, and Break for Bread was one of them. And that was the one where you can make dreams come true. Like you've seen kids come out of the woodwork, like out of nowhere, and then they're just like, "Who is this person?" Like Billy, like from my old crew, kids club. Billy I saw footage of that jam and like I'm like, who's that kid? He's nuts, right? Flying through the air, just light as a feather. But that's where like if you wanted to make it as a b-boy, like for us, like for any of this like this whole podcast, like I'm not that much of a like history type guy and stuff like that. I just know what I went through. And that's the only thing I can talk about. So like, but like with us, how we felt is just like, that Break for Bread jam, that was the one. If you wanted to make your mark, if you wanted to show Goodfoot and Trick Kids that there's another crew that's out there, it's gonna be at Break for Bread. So and that's why we were always at every single one of those. Well, I tried to be, and I think the third one, I missed the first, second, and third one, but everything else other than that, like we were there. So, and I remember seeing you there because didn't you go to Sisler?
Yeah, I went there. I went there, and then they were like promoting it, obviously, and it was just like, so like when I think about that Break for Bread, I think about you doing. Well, somebody did this move. I think this is a white dude who had like long hair, and he used to do like these like long like stalls or whatever. Or he did this one move where he did like where he's falling over, like he jumped and like he fell on his back, like, and that was like his kind of thing that he did. But then you did it and you kept doing it over and over again. You did like 5 times, like, oh, look at that, and then like, oh, like as a joke, like, look, it's so easy, boom, and it's like, and I was like, what? Oh, like it was crazy. That's I remember that for sure. And it's like, and there seemed to be like, so I don't think it's nostalgia, because you mentioned it, is that there's like a prestige behind Break for Bread, especially at that given moment in time. Because I saw it, I'm like, oh, there's Kevin, and then he's gonna be battling, and like then there's these other crews that I don't even know, but like, oh, it looks like it's like really like intense and like competitive.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's a little bit missing today, I guess, in a certain sense. Like, it's different. I should say it's different. It's not the same.
Oh, well, like it's pretty cool, because back in the day, that's what it was about. And like coming into this podcast, I was like, I think I really want to talk about that. But back in the day, it wasn't about the winning. Like I said, like with that Break for Bread jam with our crew, it wasn't about, oh, we're going to win it. Like, we're going to train to win it, which is different from the generation now, because the generation now, to me, it just feels like at all costs, try to win. And I'll circle back to that a little bit later. But with us, that Break for Bread jam, it was just making your mark, showing them that like there is another crew there, and like this is how we do things, kind of deal. Right, so it was the representing, it was the repping that was the biggest thing for, I would say, like us, Infinite Jungle. If you guys don't know who Infinite Jungle was, they were these cats that were from downtown. They were the ones that we were out to get, so to speak. So like Kids Club always wanted Infinite Jungle, like we wanted to battle them so bad and all that stuff. I think they've never known until, if they listen to this, they'll know now. Yeah. But yeah, like it wasn't about the winning part. It was about, like I said, that Break for Bread jam was the one that you wanted to like let people know, like, this is what's up. Because when you get to like the only other jam was the Mid Canada B-Boy battle that DJ Hypnotic threw, and that was in conjunction with the DMCs, which was super dope at that time. But when you get to that caliber, like to us, that was like, okay, that's like out of town people coming here, because like Eric from Vancouver came down, same with Antoine came down, and it was the first time I've ever seen non-Winnipeg b-boys. So like that jam was like, okay, that's some serious stuff, that's like international, that's like Winnipeg versus like putting Winnipeg on the map, so to speak, right? In terms of like a national level. But the Break for Bread was like Winnipeg's own, and like you'll like, if you wanted to see Winnipeg talent, you go there. Okay. Right, like the growing talent. So that's why it's really cool that you say that like there was just like that, it was so intense and all that stuff, because that's what the kids were about. Like not about winning. Like I don't like, everyone had a good time, even though if they lost, they weren't like super sour or anything like that. They just was like just really hyped that they got to battle Goodfoot. Like, oh, we battled Goodfoot and we're still alive, like type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because like when you're in that day and age, like when you eat, sleep, dream about breaking, that's pretty important. But yeah, it was just about that. And like now I feel that it's not like that anymore, which is it's a kind of downer for me, because like that's what drive like my whole b-boying like part of my life. It was just repping, showing what you can do, and being yourself, like creating something and showing it to people, and that was it. Not like creating something, showing it to people, and then losing, and then being like, what do I have to change about this to win? Right. And that to me is, I feel like, the direction that it's going, which is to me backwards. But
well, it's just a difference in goal, right?
Yeah.
Like so one person's goal might be I want to win this many battles, or I just want to win. So how do I win? So
yeah.
And then it goes from there. We were talking about having like a huge panel, just like all of Dangerous Goods here at one time. So that one time where whose wedding was it? Brian's wedding. Yeah. We're like, oh, because like
that would have been really fun.
I saw Bob for a brief moment because I think there was a jam like during that time or something, or a jam? There was like an all styles battle or something. Because I saw Bob, like he was there for like half an hour, then he left, and I'm like, oh, where'd Bob go? And then I saw the photo of everybody together, and I'm like, oh shoot, I should have got everybody if there was any time. And we tried to book something at that time, but like you were like, I don't know, I think you were just busy. It's just like like
all of these Winnipeg trips are whirlwind trips for me. Like it's straight up like come in, do whatever you have to do, see as much family as possible because people are gonna get choked that you don't see them.
Yeah.
And then back home or back to Vancouver. Home's here, but whatever. But like but that would have been crazy. That would have been a real adventure, that's for sure, for you two.
I think it's something that we'll have to do just because of the influence that Dangerous Goods has had on the dance scene.
Oh yeah,
and like whenever I talk to people outside of out of town, they either know like a few names from Winnipeg. It's like CCAT or like maybe. I haven't heard anybody mention Project, but maybe it's just the people I'm talking to. But CCAT and then Dangerous Goods, because nobody knows my crew. We don't really travel that much yet.
Yeah.
And so.
But they know you here, right?
Like everybody knows me here because like it's small here.
Yeah.
But that's how I kind of reference it, and so I kind of want. I'm going to jump into different directions in this whole podcast, but. That's what we do here.
Yeah, I like it.
How did things start with you dancing? Because your whole like all your brother and your sister dance, and how did things start with you?
Okay, so how do we start here? Where was it? So initially, back in oh my god, like my timelines are all screwed up. So 1,000 apologies for the real heads out there that know the timelines, and I'm probably gonna get like a talking to after they hear this. They're gonna get a text message from Bob saying, "What the hell are you doing, bro?" But I'm not gonna say any years. I'm just gonna break it down into the parts of
even just your personal like experience, like.
So when I was in elementary school, I went to St. Edward's, which is a private Catholic school, and at that time, like I think it was like what grade 3 or 4, something like that. You're probably familiar with the Winnipeg breakdancing boom. Are you guys familiar with that?
Not young? Really. I'm just gonna say no.
Okay, so like, imagine like everyone like at that moment of time, like if you were Filipino, like you were a breakdancer. Like everyone knew how to like windmill. Like it was every single like. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but like to me, like being like a little kid, it felt like every single person knew how to break. And like, one really strong memory that I have is like, you know what a tobacco snap is?
No.
Like, it's when you like let your finger loose and
that thing. Okay.
Like back in the day, like for where I was growing up, they called it a tobacco snap, and a tobacco snap was a breakdancing thing. Where I'm from.
Okay.
Like so in the West End. So when we were at Portage Place, we were learning how, like me and my friends were learning how to do it. Mm-hmm. So we learned how to do it, and we were walking across, and we crossed paths with like this, like I think it was 3 of them. I have no idea who their names were or who they were, but they saw that we were learning to snap, and then the guy stopped, turned around, pointed, did a up rock, and then started windmilling in Portage Place. And after I was just like, holy crap, like what? Like, I'm not trying to break dance. I'm just trying to learn how to snap. But you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like, hey, well, how do they do that, right? And like, that's how it was like back then. So like, that's to paint a picture of like you don't know who breaks, and like anyone can break, because at that time it was so popular that everyone danced. And if you align this story with, I guess, Bob and like Dark and them, that was the time when like they would actually go to schools and dances and battle people. Oh. So because I'm younger than them, right?
Yeah.
So that was the big breakdancing boom, where everyone like it was a huge fad and everyone danced. So I got in. I first seen it then, and after it was me, my buddy Jeff, and my buddy Jovic. We were like, okay, so this is breakdancing. We should learn it. So I learned a backspin. Someone learned like a chair, and the other one learned like trying to learn windmill. And then after that, the fad was done, and that was it. Right.
Oh, okay.
And then and so like with Bob's story, because I ask Bob this story all the time, he tells it all the time, where it's literally everyone stopped breaking and Bob was like the only one breaking. And then that's when he created, that's when him and John helped like create, like rebuild the scene.
So that seems like it was in the late 90s that would have happened when it...
Correct.
Right?
Because like that's when like it all died out. So like mid 90s, I think, is when it was happening.
Okay.
Right. Because like...
Because Bob said he started like 94?
Yeah. Around the, like, once again, I don't know years.
Like,
right?
yeah, so, I'm 94, 93 or something like that.
So when that happened, then I was in high school. And then my friend Aries, really good friend, he was breakdancing. What happens was we were going to Kelvin High School, and then he brought his music. Back in the day, there's no MP3 players or anything like that. He would have to bring a boombox. Uh-huh. Brought a boombox to the cafeteria, and he would practice. And after I'm just like, yo, that's breakdancing. I remember it. And after I'm like, yo, people still do that? And he's like, yeah, like it's pretty underground. And like with me, I like that, niche market, that underground stuff. Yeah. It's just like, yo, I remember that was so, like, it was so big back in the day that everyone knew how to do it, but then like it just died and it just became uncool to do it. Mm-hmm. And then it was just like, yo, but like I want to learn. So then I asked Aries, I was like, yo, teach me. So then at our lunch break, he would like refresh me on like what a 6-step was and all that stuff. And then I saw a video. It was it was Reveal. Reveal did this set, I think it was Freestyle Session 5. It was the freestyle session where they were on a stage and everything was like black sort of. And like Remind did this crazy set. Like I remember him doing, like he did like this freeze. He dropped down, he did this thread, and then he did jackhammers. Like after the thread, he was holding his leg and he was doing jackhammers. Oh. And after I was like, yo, like I told myself, I'm going to do that. I'm going to learn that move and I'm going to do that. And then from then on... That's Reveal? That's Reveal. That was Reveal. So if you were asking me who influenced you to go all in with your dancing, it would have been Reveal. Because like seeing that, like your mind is blown. You're just like, holy crap, like so much style, so much like something that like, cause like you're just used to windmills, and at that time like air flares were the biggest thing. But then there's this guy who does this thing, and like to me that was like, dude, he won. Like that was, yo, that's crazy, right? So then I was like serious about it, and after I was like, yo, okay, I told Aries, I'm like, I wanna compete. And he's like, oh, I don't think we're ready. Well, I'm like, whatever, we're just going to do it. So it turns out that one of Aries' friends, oh my God, I forgot her name, Carissa. I think it's Carissa. Anyways, we're just going to say his friend. Blah, blah. Yeah, his friend had a brother who was just starting a new crew, and that would have been Ramon. He was a part of Kids Club, which consisted of Ramon, Billy, Janelle, and Mark. And then they were looking for 2 more people so that they could enter Mid-Canada B-Boy Battle.
Oh.
So what I was looking for was a crew to just practice with, because like at that point, me and Aries, like we knew what we were capable of, but we needed more. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't learn from each other anymore. So naturally you find a community where, you know, you're going to be able to like grow. Right. So then that next step was, if we want to compete, we need to find like other people. And like the only other crews that were out there that I knew of was like Goodfoot. And Goodfoot was scary because you would hear stories about Goodfoot getting into fights and stuff. And then you're just like, well, okay, like obviously we're not going to, like, they're the top dogs in Winnipeg. They're not going to pick us. Right. So we need to find another crew. And it so happened that connect brought us to them. Like, so the sister was like, oh, well, if you want me to introduce my brother to you, like, he's going to come pick me up. And then, cause like he went to Sisler, she went to Kelvin, which was weird. I don't know the reason why, but, he went to come pick her up. And after he met up, and after he was like, well, you're from Sisler, you're kind of like, you know, you're gangster sort of, like, you're just like, yo, and I remember the conversation. It's like, you want to break dance or what? And after I'm just like, yeah, I'm pretty interested, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, meet us at the time, it was Sergeant. It wasn't Cindy class, and it was Sergeant Park Pool.
Right.
Yeah, and it was so trippy because, like, I live super close. Like, that's my hood. Like, I'm, like, born and raised around Sergeant area. So I was like, oh, crazy, you guys practice there? And he's like, yeah, we're the pool where you can see over it. Mm-hmm. So we went there, and something happened. I don't know, Aries wasn't comfortable. Either he wasn't comfortable or he wasn't as into it as I was. So at that trial, because they wanted to see what we can do type stuff, they invited us to one of their practices. Aries couldn't go, so Mike Aglium, who was he later became part of Quick Beats, the rival crew.
Oh, by the way, side note, you know Johnny from, I think he was in Quick Beats.
Johnny.
Apparently he had good like flares.
Yeah. Or, John Arcee?
No. Johnny's Lay.
No, maybe if I see him.
Well, he works here.
Trippy.
I'm just putting him out. He works in the clearance center at Canadian Footwear.
Yo,
by the way, Canadian Footwear, we fit you. Throw in an ad right now. We have three locations here in Winnipeg. Well, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna do this real quick because they let us use this room to do our podcast,
which is really dope.
Yeah. So thank you to them. And if you need any kind of footwear, just go to them.
They provide the very best footwear and foot care in a safe and healthy, positive environment.
That's what it is. You said best.
Hell yeah.
You know how to read.
For all your footwear needs, Canadian Footwear over here on Adeline Street. Check it out.
Anyways, back to the thing.
Quick Beats. Yeah. So Mike Aglium rolled with me there. Because he was like, yo, I'll do it. And like, Mike was the guy that when me and Aries were practicing, he'd always be in the sideline. Like he was he was really good friends with our good friend Rojan. So he would always be there. And he would mess around here and there. Bigger set guy. But he can do some crazy stuff. And then he was like, yo, if like Aries can't roll with you, I'll roll with you. So then he rolled with me to that practice. We showed him what we can do, and they were like, "Yo, we want you to battle with us at Mid-Canada." Nice. So I got down with that crew, Kids Club. We battled Goodfoot first round with Antoine and Eric. So we got completely destroyed. If anyone sees that footage, that was like the craziest. Like you have to imagine like kids that are coming up to go up against like the top dogs is like pretty crazy. But circling back, we were like, okay, we have Goodfoot, but like we're not gonna let's be realistic, we're not gonna win, right? I know that it's bad to think that way, but at that time we're just like, okay, there's no way. Obviously, they're way more advanced than us. They have their movement established and all that. We know that, but the dope thing about it is that we're just like, but we're going to show them what we can do. And we're just going to do it. Like, we didn't shut down and be like, oh, we're going to lose, so I'm not going to try. like the whole mantra of the whole thing was just like, hey, let's just do it. Let's just show them what we can do, and like let them know that like we're here, type deal.
Right.
So I guess with the way how I think now, it was my upbringing with that crew to be like, we just want people to see us. We just want people to know that we're there, type stuff. So it carried on. We gained traction. Like then I discovered that like it's not 100% hate, because I
thought it was 100% pure love.
Well, in growing up in that day and age and all that stuff, especially in the West End, and like I'm pretty sure like around like the whole era, like all schools, like all you ever heard was like fights here, fights there. Sisler went over to Maples, they got beat up. Then Maples retaliated, went to Sisler and got beaten up there. Blah blah blah. So like, and how I did is I recognize it as like kind of like gangs, right? So it's like being in a gang, but like not really fighting. So like you're in a crew, you're with your crew. If you have a problem with another crew, you go and you battle them. That's how it was back in the day. Like in the 90s, Bob can tell you that, John can tell you that, Dark can tell you that. If they had a problem with the crew, they would find out what debut they were at, or what dance or what sock hop was going to happen, and they would go and show up and battle them. So, so I have that, like, in growing up, like, that's the stories that you hear. You don't have contact with them. Like, you don't talk to them or anything, because it's all hearsay. It's all, like, this person, that person. There's no social media, so it's all word of mouth. So when you're at school, I heard that blah, 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 and it would be telephone, right? So then it's just like, those guys are scary. Don't mess with those guys. But it was crazy because after the jam, what happened was there was a waiting room. So because it was on a stage, I can't even remember where it was. But at the Mid-Canada B-Boy Battle, they had like a green room. And the green room had like a small floor if you wanted to warm up and all that stuff. And if you were like waiting for your battle to be called, all the B-Boys waited in this room. And then we were in there, and then Goodfoot started talking to us, and we're just like, but this isn't allowed. Like, we're not worthy. Not worthy, but like, we're not supposed to be talking. But then like, I remember Dark was like, Billy, you're sick. Put on my bicycle helmet and try your head spins. I think I know what's wrong with your head spins. And then like, it was kind of like a mini session. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. So then a sense of community started. And then from there, we were just like, and I think even Kids Club didn't know that was going to happen. Like the rest of the members of Kids Club, that was going to happen. And I think everyone just like fell in love with the culture. It was just like, like you can dance, you can be creative. And then and then people are cool after. That's dope. But at the same time, it's like competitive. Yeah. So, and then from then on, it was just jam after jam. And then the sad thing is that, like, people grow up and then like, they're no longer interested, or like the passion for it isn't as intense as other people's. So then slowly the crew started dropping off. Like the crew started getting thinner. Then it came down to three of us. It was Billy, Ramon, and Red. Billy, me, and Red. Those were the three that were left from Kids Club. And Uptown Boogie was making a comeback. So Uptown Boogie was another crew from the Maples who were kind of on the same level as Trick Kids. So it would always be Trick Kids and Uptown Boogie. And like you would hear the same stories, like Maples went to go fight people, blah, blah, blah. And we would always, like, since Uptown Boogie was from Maples, we would always group them as like, hey, they fought and blah, blah, blah. So burly guys, like they would fight you if like, so we were like, oh, like, I heard that they're like coming back. So it would be pretty cool to battle them because there was only three of them left. It was Mark, Newcomb, Lester, and Nava. So Mike Nava. So like it was those three. And I think we battled them, or like we started talking to them at 5th annual B-Boy Battle. That was at Avenue.
No, I don't even know.
It was a club that was on Portage. Portage Avenue. So it was called the Avenue, and it was like a hip hop club. It was 2 floors. It was pretty sick. Like they had dope nights and all that stuff. But that jam, they had Jester from Supernaturals, Skittles from Supernaturals, and I think one other judge. I think it was Benzo. Don't get me wrong, but it was like crazy because that was when, around that time, that was when Toronto was like coming up. That was when Dizzy was going off. I think Dizzy just won Rocksteady Anniversary. People were like looking at Toronto. And then this is around the same time as Ewok Nation. I don't know if you know Ewok Nation. Shout out to Ewok Nation. But it was like one of the first websites that I knew that was putting out footage. So So on the internet, so that was how we were learning about other scenes. Right?
Okay, wow.
So it was Ewok Nation, and like it's like Skittles is coming down and all that stuff. And I think it was right after a jam called, it was some jam in New York. I can't remember. But like they came up and I was just like, whoa, okay, like these are like Toronto heads, crazy. But we were gonna battle or set something up to battle Uptown Boogie. But then we got to talking and we were like, you know what? I think it would be better if we joined forces. So long story short, we ended up joining forces after Dangerous Goods was created. So Dangerous Goods happened first.
Oh, okay.
Goodfoot and Trick Kids, the remaining members, bounded together. They went to Battle of Alberta. It was supposed to be the last hurrah, but the chemistry was so good that they decided to stay as a crew and come back to Winnipeg and keep doing big things. So the next crew to beat, if you wanted to become kings, you want to beat Dangerous Goods. So and we felt that Kids Club felt like, we got it. Now, since we've been battling, now we kind of have a chance, sort of. But if we take these three, if we join forces with these three, because they've been around for a while, right? They know their stuff. They know how the movement works. They have their own movement. They appreciated creativity and all that stuff. We were like, we have a really good chance. So we created that crew. Then again, the same thing happened. It was back and forth. That was the same time as Mano Yumano. Have you heard of Mano Yumano jam?
No.
It was a jam that I think Dark put on. It was at a sick run play, like a martial arts place.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he set up grudge matches, and there was a 2-on-2 and there was a grudge match. My brother Kevin was actually part of our crew. So when we joined forces with Uptown Boogie, I brought Kevin along because I taught Kevin everything I know. Every time I learned something new, I taught my brother. Mm-hmm. So they set up grudge matches, and there was a 2-on-2. So the 2-on-2, I think Billy, who entered? I think it was Billy and Mark. Billy and Mark entered, and then the grudge match was me versus Arthur, and Kevin versus, I think it was Skill Cow. Kevin versus another person. And then, that was the scariest moment of my life, because if Arthur's a pretty intimidating dude, and his actions speak louder than his words. So if he had a problem with you, you better believe that he'd tell you and do something about it. So so we ended up battling him, and it was that good, healthy competition. There was still that, I'm gonna beat you, not hate, but it's just rivalry. There you go. It was that rivalry, and then that continued, and then same story. History repeated itself. People weren't as into it anymore, and then they start life happened, and they couldn't dance as much anymore. So the two that were left from that crew was me and Lester, and my brother. Mm-hmm. My brother is still too young. He would have rolled with me anywhere we went in, anyways. So it was me and Lester that was left, and there was the I think Dangerous Goods was short. I could be wrong. This is Lester's story, but Dangerous Goods was short for performing. They were short one man, and then they asked Lester if he can help with the show. And then Lester started chilling with them. And then eventually, like, they're like, yo, we want Lester down. But Lester was like, no, like, it's a package deal. If you put me down, you got to put Kyle down.
Oh, okay.
Deal, right? So then they were like, okay, bring him to practice type stuff. So it was the same thing as, like, getting into Kids Club was the same as getting into Dangerous Goods. But the crazy thing is that I think I had a conversation with Bob online, like via I don't know if it was ICQ or MSN, one of those. But like I had a conversation, like it just popped out of nowhere. Bob messaging me, I'm like, holy crap! His name's like, hey, like, what do you think about like coming to one of our practices one day or something along those lines? And then like he said something like, we've been watching you. I was like, but you know, but when you yeah, to the person to the people that you're idolizing, you know what I'm saying, like he is like the Winnipeg Kingpin, like by far, like surpassed it, like he's nuts, right? And for someone like that to be like, yo, like we've noticed your work and we have been, you know, watching you and considering, like, you're over the moon, right? You're just like, holy crap, dude, like, yo, let's do it. And then so showed up at one of their practices, did what I had to do, and at that same time it wasn't like I'm gonna do stuff to, like, I'm gonna show them my stuff and I'm gonna ask them what they want changed, you know what I'm saying? It was like, I'm going to show them what I can do, and that's that. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, then I understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, my stuff isn't like, I don't expect everyone to like my stuff. But it turns out that they liked it, and then they were like, yo, can you dance for us for 6th annual Mid-Canada Bboy Battle? And that was the jam that changed my life. Like, I knew that I wanted to go all in terms of like competing and stuff like that, but I never would have imagined that I would be living a lifestyle of a b-boy until after that jam, because that jam was just bananas. That was like the first time I've ever seen so many provinces in under one roof battling. And like we had like everyone, we had Vancouver, we had Calgary, we had Toronto. Like it was Ground Illusions and Funky Monks put together. So like all your heavy hitters that you know right now, like J-Bugs, like Flight's freaking Ground Illusions, Rubik's Cube from Ground Illusions, they were like top dogs, like very, very significant in their scenes. And look at them now. I think Rubik still dances for Ground Illusions. I've seen him in a couple jams, still doing his thing. But like people like J-Bugs that are like crazy, like world renowned. Like he's just super, super dope b-boy. Like we got to battle them, you know what I'm saying? And after that, like the party that happened after that jam was just insane. Like we got to, like, one of the judges was Eric from Soul Control, and we were just like, yo, like, I see you in videos, dog. Like, you are, like, and videos, I'm talking about VHS tapes, right? It's not online stuff. It's, like, the VHS tapes.
Passed around VHSs?
Exactly. So, like, and then you're, like, and it's, like, you know, like, kind of like Hollywood. Like, you get a little bit starstruck. You're just like, dude, I see you on a TV, and that's nuts. Like, I don't see you on, like, a monitor. I see you on TV. So after that jam, it was just like, yo, like, and we won it. So it was just like, dude, this is crazy. And then from then on, it just snowballed. Just like, we're traveling. Okay, Kyle, can you come to Calgary for this jam? Blah blah blah. And then we just went off. And then, the rest is history.
Well, it's so, I don't know. To me, it seems like almost like a mythical story at this point, because I'm going, like, revisiting my memories from like mid 2000s to like late 2000s. I was like, damn, I should have went to every single event, because what happened was 2005 CCAT like came out, and it was like such a big thing, and like, and then you had to me it was still very separate. It was like like the choreo scene.
Yeah.
Well, there was like the choreo scene to me, and then there was like the breaking side, and then there was the studio and like those jazz dancers and all that stuff that's kind of like going on in their own field. And then when I saw you guys at that Break for Bread, I was like, holy crap, this is intense. And then you guys took that photo outside of the gym, I think, or
that's when we won. Yeah, Mike Telasa, shout out.
Was that year?
Mike Telasa. Yeah, that was an exciting time for sure for Winnipeg in general.
I think it was when Bob still had that fro. I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that photo, you search up Dangerous Goods on like Google, and like that's like one of
That's the one? Oh,
that's
crazy.
one of
I didn't know that.
the stuff. And I also, by the way, I saw this video of I think it was a Google video at the time. It was called Google Video or whatever. And it was like a compilation of all your guys' stuff. This is like 2000, maybe 2008, 2009. And like in that video, Dark is doing head spins like for a really long time. Because I remember I did a presentation on it.
Oh, was he wearing like an LRG belt? A red belt?
He might have. I just remember him doing head spins for like a really long time.
Yeah.
That
was that jam. Yeah, that was that same jam.
So that photo, and I'm just like, oh shoot, this is crazy. And then like when I went to college, which was 2008, end of 2008, fall of 2008, I still saw like advertisements because I went to Red River College just right across the street, and then they would have advertisements for like, Dangerous Goods is performing at like Blush or whatever you guys were performing at.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you guys were performing a lot, or you guys were doing a lot of dancing.
We were doing a lot of shows. That's what it was. A lot of shows because like I think the crew believed that like it, because there's not that much events and battles that were happening, right? Still we only had like a couple here and there ones, but like in order to keep it fresh and like like it's Winnipeg, right? We can't, a lot of us like we have like jobs and stuff like that, but we can't keep traveling. There was no sponsorship or anything like that, so any of those trips that we went to, we worked and we saved money and we went. Like no one paid our way or anything like that. Like Cats nowadays, like they get sponsorship, like a company will be like, yo, we want you to come down. They'll fly you down. They'll put you up. And then you do what you do. And then they fly you back. With us, it was like, we have to rent the car. We have to book off time work, blah, 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 blah. We have to drive ourselves there. And like, we did it all ourselves. So we couldn't keep traveling all the time. But what we could do is we could perform. So performing, it was good. It was a win-win, right? Because like, as a crew, like you strengthen your teamwork, because when you do shows, like everything needs to be seamless, right? You have everyone has certain jobs, everyone has certain cues, and then you have to deliver, especially when you're on stage. And it was also a good thing because when you're performing in front of like, there was one that performed that was like, I think a couple hundred, like in like the 600s. Around there, and it was just like, whoa, like, but you have to be on it, and that I think that kind of like kills your nerves to be like, this is easy. So when you're at a b-boy jam where it's a little bit smaller, it's easier. And the last point of like performing is like you're constantly, you're conditioning, your movements are like, like you're doing the same moves over and over again. Yep. Your muscles, like there's muscle memory, like your body will know the moves, your body will know what to do if you ever mess up and all that stuff. So like it was a win-win. And on top of that, like, you get a paycheck, right? Paychecks put towards travel and then that's it. So that was like I'm going to say, I don't know if it's true, but I'm going to say that was like Bob's initiative to be like, okay, we're going to do shows because that's what the end result is going to be. We're going to more teamwork, more blah, blah, blah. And we did a whole bunch. One of the most memorable ones, one of the gigs that we did was with Brahma. We got hired with Labatt, and they were coming out with this new beer. I think this is 2009, 2010 maybe. I don't know. But it was like it's a blur for me. But it was pretty crazy because we got hired by Labatt, and what they were doing is they were promoting a new beer, and the beer was apparently from Brazil. or something, and they had b-boys and they had capoeira or capoeiras, or I don't know what the plural of capoeira artists are, but like we toured we toured the prairies with them. So they like, and once again with our traveling, like we knew how to get around, like we know how to rent a van and all that stuff. So they just threw us some money and they were like, hey, okay, you got to be in Saskatoon, you got to be in Regina, back in Winnipeg. And I think we did one in Brandon. Did we do one in Brandon? I can't remember, but we hit like prairie cities. Mm-hmm. And what we would do is like, we would perform and it was at clubs. These performances were at clubs, bars, and all that stuff. It wasn't a stage or anything like that. It was like a club where people, like a dance club where everyone's like dressed up and like, you know, ready to freaking get their groove on. And then they would like make a circle and then like we would do our performance. Mm-hmm. And it would kind of seem like impromptu.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then like, because the capoeira people would do their stuff, we would do our stuff, then we'd have to battle and that was it. But the most dangerous thing that they did was they gave us free Brahmas all the time. So what would happen was we would do a show, and there was this one day we had to hit up 2 clubs, I think. Yeah, we had to go to one and then we had to go to another one. But we would do the show, get drunk, like completely plastered, and then go to the hotel room. We can like drink some more because like they put us all together, like all the capoeira artists and the b-boys, we were all together, and then we just keep drinking, and then have to get up, get into the car, and then go to the next city. So it felt like some rock star shit. Seriously, like if there's any, like if when you guys hear about bands being on tour, that's what it completely felt like. And like it's cool because it wasn't like bougie sponsorship. It wasn't like, okay, like hop on the plane, fly here, get off, someone will pick you up. It was like, you got to be in Regina in like 3 hours, and we're all haggard. We're just, like, dragging our stuff along, all hungover, and then like we have to drive to like another city, and then like we get to another city, we would like find something to eat, rest, and then do it all over again. And then another show, another night of drinking, another 3 hours of sleep, and then back on the road, which was really, really dope. Like that was one of my most memorable things in terms of shows. But yeah, like it's important. And that's another thing that I think the younger generation isn't doing, because I don't know if it's they feel like it's like a sellout or anything like that. Like, you know, like a lot of people say like, oh yeah, like don't get pimped, and like keep b-boying like underground and all that stuff. Keep it where it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be super commercialized, yada yada yada. But I think it's like, if it's helping the community, right? But mind you, Labatt wasn't really helping the community. But like, if you
they're just plastered and just trying to break and stuff,
right? Like it's not really promoting it. But but if like nowadays, like at this time and age, if the young heads want to do performances to help the community, I think that they should do it. But a lot of the times I don't see that anymore. I don't see people like...
Well, you know, I think there should be a sense of like business savvy to that, because as artists, just the fact of being an artist, even like especially a dancer, is that stuff goes down and like people will take advantage of that. Even though like this is a nice dude, like no, this is like really like this guy's my friend, and like no, it happens, and so like I think Bob would have took care of that for you guys, right? As far as representing you guys as a crew.
Oh yeah. He would always like what was the saying that he would? I don't think I should say the saying, but he would say like don't get cheated, right?
Yeah.
Be smart. And he's like, and he would always discuss it with us. He's like, what do you guys think? I think this guy is kind of like being sketchy, blah blah blah. So then like yeah, for sure, it's a good exercise in a sense of, because like a lot of the times like like they'll throw, like they'll be like, let's hire Dangerous Goods, and after like, yeah, yo, if you want to hire Dangerous Goods, this is our rate, right?
Well, it was cool because just like how we were talking before the podcast about like getting burned or like hurting yourself while you're learning.
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing as well when you're going through
it's important, right?
situations like that, because I'm sure people have experienced it, like not only me, that you're like, wait, what? We're supposed to get paid this much, or this is what we were supposed to do, or this is what was supposed to happen. And the thing that Bob told me, if anybody's interested in hearing it, is that you should have contracts for everything, and also a reason why you have the rate that you have.
Correct.
Like he mentioned that to me, and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then you put it down on paper and get them to sign it, all that kind of stuff. And then even just having that contract out there and like being serious about that, people take you a lot more seriously.
A lot more serious, yeah.
So
for sure. But yeah, like, yeah, the main issue, the main thing is like, yeah, like you get burned, you learn, right? And it's like, a lot of the times, like where I'm coming from is like you can tell a person like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, but then eventually they're gonna do what they want to do, right? So if they're gonna do what they want to do, like they have to learn their own way, and if they get burned, they get burned, and hopefully they learn from that. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, like we would be like, they'd try to hire us, they'd be like, this is our rate, and they'd be like, we're not paying that, we're just gonna go to this other crew that doesn't really know much, and then we're gonna, try to get them to do it for like a fraction of the price of Dangerous Goods asking. So, but then again, that's what I'm saying. Like, if maybe the market's different now, I don't know. Like maybe because like b-boying has been in the media for like a long time now, right? So it's not as ooh-ah anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, back when we were doing our performances and all that stuff, everyone was like, oh my God, breakdancers. Like, I've never seen it. This is like the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we were doing our Brahma shows, that's what it felt like. For me, that's what it felt like. It felt like, blast from the past. But I'm like, when the comment that I made saying, like, I don't see the kids doing it anymore, like doing performances, like, but once again, maybe it's like they don't need it anymore. Like, there's so, like, you got like the Red Bull people that are going nuts, like promoting it and like throwing big dollars in like huge production commercials and like clips and stuff like that. And like the kids are like a little bit, like I can't do that type stuff. But once again, like if the young kids ever have an opportunity to do performances where it's helping their scene, helping their culture, I think it's a good idea for them to do it, because with the things that we learned, like the teamwork, the exercise, like it's a win-win, right? I guess it's just different now because like it's more exploited and it's more out there than it was before.
Yeah, there's a lot of things out there trying to capture people's attention. I think people just haven't thought about it as seriously as like, because like once you mentioned that whole Labatt thing, I'm like, we've never even thought about going to like doing something like that. Where you're like sponsored by somebody and you do, or if you did, it's like, oh, you know what, I have work, or like you make up some kind of excuse or reason, a valid reason, that you can't do that certain thing. So, but I guess you guys, I don't know, like what was the motivation like towards that? Is just to perform a lot, or like was it to increase your rep, or just to get out there more, or you guys just wanted to dance?
When they asked me to do it, because like I think they could only, how many people? Me, Lester, Dark, Bob, John. 5 of us. Me, Lester, Bob, Dark, John. Yeah, 5 of us. So they could only pick 5, I think, from the whole crew. And like there were people like, oh, I'm working, I can't do it, blah blah blah. But for me, when Bob asked me, it was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like it's like going to a battle, like a road trip battle, like we always do, but it's like multiple places and we get paid. So I was just like, hey, why not? Like, because like at the time I was working at Burger King, so it was just like, like I can sit here and like make Whoppers for Whopper, friggin' like they had like $1 Whopper day or something like that. Like I remember me having a conversation with myself being like, dude, you can stay here and make Whoppers, or you can like go to like Saskatoon and like dance and get paid almost the same. So to me, I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And in the plus for me was like, and you get practice. Like I get to practice. Like I get to perform, practice for me. But the motivation behind it for the other guys, I couldn't tell you.
Right.
I think for a business standpoint for Bob, it was like trying to put it under our belt to have like a corporate like account, like to have like in our client list like a big corporation like Labatt. It looks really good on like
on a resume
CV,
or whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
So like it just shows that like you're like, you know, with the contracts and stuff, you're a little bit more professional. You like we have the ability to work with like, you know, established companies, not just local, you know, stuff like that. Like, and I think for Bob, that's what he was. Sorry, Bob, I can't speak for you, but in my eyes, that's what it felt like and looked like for the benefit of the whole crew. Like you could do that and have fun at the same time and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, it seemed like it paid off. Like everybody seems to be like, that's the thing out of Winnipeg. Like,
yeah, it was really fun.
Because it's funny. I was talking to Scramblelock from Montreal.
Oh, crazy.
And he started out in, I think, Brampton or somewhere like a small city in Ontario.
In Ontario,
and he moved to Montreal. He used to break, and he's a bit older, but he's like, yeah, I've been meaning to go down to Winnipeg to like, you know, to a Dangerous Goods event or whatever. And I think you guys were having some kind of anniversary thing like coming up. And when I was talking to him, it was a while ago.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, I've been meaning to go there. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you reached this far, you know?
Yeah.
It goes like out that far.
Yeah, I think when we started traveling, well, Bob and Dark have been traveling to Toronto for a minute now. So like they were like, Bob made the connections. He made the connections both east and west. John was a really big one too, because John moved to Toronto, right. And he was still part of like he was at that point in time he was a Dangerous Good, but like yeah, he was the in. So like our brother crew now, like MEC, he is MEC. Like John is still MEC. So like that was the connect. So Bob went out west, did the connects there. John went out east, did the connects there. So I think that's how the name spread, kind of deal. Like to the east. That's why I think scrambled legs.
That's what he was when he was breaking.
Scrambled legs. Yeah, was he was he from? I think when we were there in Toronto, I think he was there too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he went to events in Toronto and was like locking, like because he went from breaking to locking.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
So,
yeah. So like I think that's how the East got to know us and all that stuff. And then when we started traveling, because what we did was we did more west because it was easier. And then when we got better at our jobs, like in life, and we can afford plane tickets now versus like gas and renting. We bought tickets and we started flying to Toronto, and we did the 7 Series. We did Bboy Unit out there, and recently we got flown, like 2 years ago, we got flown out to do Battle for the North, and that's like So the East is like we give it up to MEC because like they're the peeps that like kind of brought us into that scene. It was like, yo, check these guys out. These guys are ill, and we did the same thing with them. So yeah, and then we traveled with them to California, and that's how Winter was born. And there you go.
Winter is coming.
There you go. Yeah.
This photo of you at Notorious IBE.
Oh.
Can you talk about that?
Oh God.
Not even just that photo, but like that whole experience.
That was another life changer right there.
Well, sorry, it's a big like battle.
IBE.
Yeah,
okay, so if anybody
I have to sometimes explain it to like people who don't know, because we go into like MEC, DGC. Like, what are you guys talking about? MEC. MEC is maximum efficiency crew
out of Toronto, Ontario there. IBE is the international breakdance event held in Eindhoven, which is in the Netherlands. Was it in the Netherlands? Oh, geez, I don't even remember. Yes, yeah, because the tulips, yes. In the Netherlands. And it's... No, not Eindhoven. It was... Where is it? Where was it held? Crap, I don't even know. I'd have to
somewhere
look it
in
up.
Europe.
But
right?
it's a huge European jam, and what it is, it's basically if you were to call it the B-Boy Olympics, that's what it was. It's nutty. They take over this whole town, like it's like a tiny town, probably like not as big as Brandon, but like a little town in Europe, and like the whole thing is transformed to a whole, like it's a huge jam. So like you get cats all over the world that come to it, and like it's nutty. Like you would just be walking down the street and there's like a power cipher happening, like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like you're trying to go for breakfast, and then there's these kids doing air flares, seeing how many air flares they can do, and it's like 9. And then you walk over to another restaurant and there's a cipher happening there. And there's a locking cipher here, and there's people popping. And then there's a schedule. So there's so many events. There's like a 2-on-2 girl. There's a super solo. There's a concrete battle. There's a generation battle. There's a 5-on-5. There's the feature ones. Like, because when we went, it was like Red Bull All-Stars, Young Guns, and Team France. And then they did like a round robin. And they just... So the first day, how was it? Shout outs to our brothers in MEC who hooked it up. Like they were the hook for it. Like we got in and we were like, not royalty, but we got like perks. Like we had like the first day we had like artist bands, and those artist bands let you go, like it's kind of like VIP sort of.
Right.
So you could like when there was a 7 to Smoke. Our homie M Stro from MEC crew was part of it. And we got to like be actually on the stage.
Whoa.
Yeah, and watching it because we had those artist bands. But yeah, so this event is just nuts. So like it's so jam-packed that you have to choose what you want to enter and what you want to see. Like if you're there to watch, you have to choose what you're going to watch, because the events happen at the same time. Like the B-Girl event was happening at the same time as the Super Solo. So if you wanted to enter the Super Solo, you can't watch the B-Girl because the B-Girl event is in another building, like across the town. Like it was just that crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's IBE. So it was a joke. For me, it was a little bit of a joke because like we were talking about it and we're just like, yo, let's go to IBE. And after I'm like, you know what? I'd go to IBE. And after Bob was like, are you serious? And after I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'd do it. And then like it gained traction, and then everyone was excited about going. But then, you know, stuff happens, and then not everyone can go. So the people that ended up going was like me, Ricky, Bob, and Ariel Polverosa. Who, shout outs, our number one hype man. Like,
yeah, for sure, man.
And like a little bit of a backstory. If you've been listening to the whole podcast, Ariel Polverosa is actually part of Uptown Boogie. So like, yeah, so like that whole thing. So there's still like there's still connections and all that stuff. So Ariel used to break and all that too. So if you don't know, now you know. Okay, like he's an old school head, so he knows his stuff, and he's still current. Like he goes to all the events. He knows.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like
so it just shows like you don't even have to like to be part of this culture. You don't even have to dance. Like you know. But anyways, so he came along. Funny story. Maybe I should let him tell it. But like funny story. Like he broke his arm from, I believe it's snowboarding. So when he was with us at IBE, he had a cast on. So all the dancers were like, what happened? Because they thought he was a dancer. and so he, like, Ariel's an awesome guy. He like, it's super, super funny. He played it off.
Jokes around.
Yeah. So he's like, I was trying to do a double critical to an air chair and I messed up. And then people were like, "Whoa!" they bought it. Yeah, they bought it. They're just like, "Really?" And then like he would be like, "No, I'm just kidding." He's like, "I'm just here for like the vacation, blah blah blah," because it was pretty dope because I think that was his 30th. That was his 30th birthday. And then he wanted to celebrate it, and he's like, "Yo, I'll roll with you guys to IBE. I want to go check out Europe." So we're like, "More the merrier, man. Let's go." So we ended up going. And the reason why I call it a life-changing experience is because that was the year that Canada made its mark, like internationally, for me. Like, if you go around, like, around that time, what is that, 2013? Was that 2013? 2012. I think it's 2012. 2012, Canada was like, Canada has its own scene, but internationally, all they knew was Supernaturals, Dizzy, and Bag of Tricks, right? The only ones they know internationally, because Bag of Tricks did Battle of the Year, and Dizzy's freaking winning stuff, running around, and, like, being crazy. So that's all they knew. And then it so happens that year, shout outs to JK47 coming out of Surrey, Vancouver, British Columbia. She entered with Big Girl Roxy from I don't even know what crew Big Girl Roxy is from. Is she from Soul Mavericks? I can't remember. Anyway, she entered with Big Girl Roxy from the UK, and they ended up winning the Big Girl event. Okay, nice. So that's a Canadian that won Big Girl event. Pieces, Mikey, MEC Maximum Efficiency Crew, he made it to the semi-finals for the blow-up competition. For the footwork competition, it was Switch B, Device from Ground Illusions, and one more. Who was it? I think it was Phil Fury. No, Phil Fury did the super solos. I think two of them advanced for the footwork competition. The top rock competition, Clinton from MEC advanced to, I think, semis. And then for the super solos, out of like 200 competitors, I think it was 200 competitors, Switch. No, did Switch make it? I know it was Phil, myself, and another person made top 16 for Canada, to represent Canada, like at the super solos. Whoa. So that, and for me, when I decided to go to that event, it was more or less the experience to go see it, to go see Europe, to go see a crazy international event, because I've never been to an international event before. So we decided to go to Super Solos because we wanted to, because Super Solos and the B-Boy and the B-Girl Jam were going at the same time. And we're like, okay, like I really want to cheer on, like, you know, JK and all them, but like Super Solos is like, we want footage, right? Yeah. We want like, and Bob was like, okay, we'll go and do our qualifier, and just make sure that we do good in our qualifier so we can get good footage that says IBE and us breaking in IBE, right? So, and that's it. That's all they have to know. They don't have to know that we didn't get picked or whatever. Like, it's footage, right? It's dope footage. Like, proof that, like, you can show your grandkids, hey, you know, I was in an international breakdance event, blah, blah, blah. Never in my wildest dreams did I thought that I'd get picked, ever. Because I was there, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do my set. And after that, I get to, you know, relax, sit down, watch the whole jam, get drunk, you know, because you can drink there. It's Europe. You can drink in the streets, whatever. It's all good. So, like, yeah, I was like, whatever, like, did my round. Like, it was me, Ricky, and Bob. I think that was sequential. And then, like, we did our stuff. I thought I did, like, really, yeah, good footage. Yeah, awesome. High fives all around. Okay, let's go sit down and watch. And then they said the numbers, because, like, you're given a number. Mm-hmm. Like, when you, so, like, they can't, like, so when they choose their, and my number was called, and wow, my heart just dropped. Like what? Like, no. I there was a point in time where I was like, no, like, can you pick someone else? Because I didn't train for that like a one-on-one or anything like that. I was training if like our crew got in like a cypher battle. Like that's what I was prepared for. I wasn't prepared to be on an international stage. And it was just, dude, like, oh my God. It was like, it was excitement, but like way more fear, because it was just like, dude, like, this is like the international, like it doesn't get any bigger than this. Like, this is huge. Yeah. And so I ended up battling Enamel from Speedy Angel's crew. So the same crew as Little G. And I got smoked. Like, it felt like when I was on the stage, like I knew what I wanted to do, but my body wasn't cooperating. It felt like it was the first time I was breaking, because the nerves were just so crazy. But then that just goes to show that, like, you know, like you just do your own thing, and like, not everyone's gonna like your stuff, but like someone will like it. And at that point, like the judges panel were like Taisuke, Lamine, who else was on that panel? Like, it was just crazy, like people that were on that panel. And like, dude, they chose you out of like 200 competitors, like, and you're not ready. Right? So that's what happened to me. And like, thank God I have the photo. Yeah. It's an awesome photo. It's not me crashing or anything like that. But after that, it kind of gave me a little bit of a not ego boost, but like a confidence boost. Like, if you can do the stuff that you're doing, and if people of that caliber can like appreciate it, then that means something, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And then it was just like, cool. Like, I got props and all that stuff. And like Switch was also talking to me. He was like, dog, it's like, your qualifying run was fire. He's like, what happened? And I told him, like, man, I don't know. I was not ready for it. He's like, well, like next time, like believe it, like believe in yourself kind of deal. And after, I was just like, yeah, you know what? Like, yeah, I should. And then from there, it just changed my life. And on top of that, like, seeing that there's so much more out there than Canada and the States. Like, when you hit Europe, just it's a whole nother world out there. You feel like a tiny speck. Like, there's so much more. Like, there's so much more people. Like, there's so much more stuff that, like, b-boys and dances and movements that you've never seen before. And you're just like, wow, like there's way more. So then that's when the travel lust started happening. And then so now, like in this day and age, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like feed the travel lust and the breaking at the same time. So that's why I call it like another life changing, because after that, like it was just like, yo, like stop thinking small. Like, there's massive world out there. I haven't even touched Asia in terms of like b-boying. Like, Europe's just nuts. And I liked it so much that I went back the next year. But I didn't go to IBE. What I did was like I had a little bit of a, how do you call it? Not sabbatical. I don't know words that I'm talking about. But like I had a little bit of a break from work. So what happened was I had an opportunity to how do you say, what's the word where they like they compensate you for something? Like they got rid of my position. But like they were like, since we're getting rid of your position, like
severance package.
There you go. Yeah. So I have severance from work, and then and like I spent like I had 6 months of severance pay. So I spent like June in Winnipeg, like doing absolutely nothing, like, just like chilling, waking up at like 3, calling the boys, saying, hey, what's up? What are you doing? I'm not working. Let's do something. And it was dope because like I would get a paycheck every 2 weeks, like I was working. But then I was like, yo, man, this is a waste. If I'm just like, I'm not saying like Winnipeg's a waste. I'm just like, it was like a waste of like, I should be doing more. So what I did was I bought a one-way ticket to London, and then I bought another one-way ticket back from London to Van, and then everything in like 3 months in between. So it was like a blank canvas of being in Europe for 3 months. And then like I touched down in London and I was just like, hey, it's breaking and traveling. So I tried to go to every city that I went to. I tried to find a practice spot and practice with the locals. And it was crazy. Like I say, I learned more from that than actually going to events. Like, cause like when you're in practice, like they're a little bit more, they're reserved a little bit because they're like, who's this guy? Because like, once again, like Canadians, like we move different from like states and like from other, like you'll be spotted. Like you're not from here. Like, and like with anything, like if like popping, like you see someone, like you haven't seen them, but like the way how they move, like you could automatically tell like, hey, I haven't seen that here before. So where are you from? Like it's the same thing. But what I liked about it, it was like a little bit more communal. Like when you're going to like a battle, it's a little bit more competitive, right? And they're like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll smoke you, yada yada yada. But when you go to their practices, it's more like community type thing. It's kind of like, let me be part of your community. But then the dope thing is, I would use that to like network. So I would go to their practice and I'd be like, where's a good place to go for drinks? And then you would just end up going drinking with them. Oh. And then they're like, hey, if you're going to Rome, you should hit up my buddy. He dances there and they have a spot for you to practice. And then that's how I would write out where I'm going next type stuff. So it was pretty dope because like I spent a lot of time in London and I met a lot of peeps. There's a place called the Trocadero. It's closed now, but what it was is like they have this the tube is like their subway system, and there's one station that it's this huge, like it's this open space. They had like a TV that was like locked up in plexiglass, and it would loop Chico's power tutorials. Oh yeah, there's this huge mural that's painted where it's all like tags and b-boys and stuff like that, and it would be like the Robson Square, but it's like in the subway station, so people would like practice there. It's free, and like yeah, so like I used to train there. I spent about 3 weeks in London, and like I trained there every day. And then that's where I got my networking, be like, hey, where's a good place to go? Like, I'm thinking about going to Berlin. Where do I practice? I'm thinking about going to, here and there, where like, and then people will like hook you up with like, and that's where the networking happens. So with feeding the wanderlust and feeding the b-boying, I was able to do it. So, but yeah, that was super life-changing, because if it wasn't for that trip, my eyes would have never been open to like, dude, there's so much more out there. It would have just been like, hey, back to Winnipeg, train, and then go to the States and try to train it. And that's another thing. I don't want to say the whole crew, but for me, there's a certain way of doing things. Like there's like from when I was growing up, it was like, okay, you get good in Canada, then you're so good in Canada that you can compete in States. Yeah. And then when you're really good in States, then you can compete internationally. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, based on what I've learned, like, no, that's not how it works at all. Like I say, just straight up go travel, like hands down. Doesn't matter what your skill level is, because you're bound to learn way more out there. The States is a little bit more difficult, right? Because they're hardcore. They're like, that's where like hip hop was birthed and all that stuff, so they're a little bit more hardcore about it. But like Europe and like Asia, like if you ever have a opportunity to go and just boot around there and just dance out there, I'd say just do it, because like people are more, I don't want to say more friendlier, but like people will surprise you in terms of like how hospitable they'll be, and how a willingness to teach you. Like I learned my variation of tap mill from a guy in London. Like he just was like, oh, you should, I think you're trying to learn tap mill. He's like, try this. And then he taught me a technique, and to this day I still use it. Right. So like coming from a person that like, that he's not from your country, but like you're willing to help him. Like there's like, I'd say do it. you don't have to be like super crazy good to be in Europe. Like if I had known what I've known like back in the day, I would have never spent that much money on a car because I was like souping up cars and stuff like that. I would have saved all that money and I would have like just traveled, like because like it was always like, oh, are we ready to go to Europe? Or are we skill wise? Are we ready? But that doesn't matter. I think you should just go just to go, especially if you're young. Like, you get old, man.
Can't move.
And when you get old, it's like it's a totally different ball game. I totally understand what like Bob and them were saying. Fuck, I'm old, man. And he's like, yeah, you're not, blah blah blah. But like now, I'm like,
how much younger are you than Bob and those? I guess older dudes.
Bob is like. I think he's 30, late 30s.
Yeah, like 38 or something.
Yeah, I'm early 30s, so I'm like 33. So he's like 5 years older than me, maybe. And in school generations, that's huge, right?
That's huge, yeah.
But like he was like around the same age as he was with like when he was like 30s, I was like late 20s. When he was early 30s, he was already complaining about his body and stuff like that. And like now I understand. Like I totally understand. I recently did like it was funny because I had a conversation with him like a couple of days ago, like last week. I recently did I was chosen to be the wild card for the Northwest Sweet 16. So the Northwest Sweet 16 is an invitational tournament held by Outshine Productions. Shout outs to Tim Chips from Fraggle Rock. He puts it up. It was their 10-year anniversary. And he selected me to be the wild card. So I was like, what he does is he selects the top 16 in the Pacific Northwest and the upcomers, and then they battle it out and, one-on-one, yada, yada, yada. And like what happened was like there was the 5-on-5 as well. So I entered the 5-on-5 and I was part of the Sweet 16. But the thing was, the 5-on-5 was earlier in the day and the Sweet 16 was later. So I was super hyped up, super ready to go at the 5-on-5, like adrenaline going. And then we did it. We didn't advance. So then we had like 4 hours to kill. So we walked around Seattle and my body just completely cooled down. And then when I had to go again for the top 16, what happened was like my muscles were like, since it's cooled down and like I didn't warm up, which is my fault. Yeah. But like my body just seized up and I've never experienced that before. Like my muscles were like tightening up when I didn't need it to, like I needed it to be loose to like do some of my moves. But like, yeah, I didn't do well as I wanted to. And I was explaining that to Bob and he's like, you're getting old, man. And I'm like, yeah, dog, I feel it. He's like, yeah, now do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I get it. But like, yeah, like you do get old. And that's why I'm saying like, if you're young and if you have the opportunity to like travel overseas, I'd say do it. Like,
Andrew, pack up the equipment. We're gonna take this podcast to Amsterdam.
Honestly, like if you have the opportunity, if you can do it, like I do know that the Canadian government right now they have youth travel visas, and the youth travel visas to the Crown countries, which is like the UK and like Australia. I think the cutoff year is like 31. If you're over 31, you're not allowed to apply for it. But if you're a Canadian citizen, like you can get approved and like have a youth travel visa and you can work in like
what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially if it's the Crown countries, like if it's like Australia and the UK, because we're under the same crown, right? Because like we share the same queen.
Yeah.
Right. So it's easy to, go over there and travel. And then they recently put out this new one. It's within the Schengen region. So the Schengen region is like all the countries excluding the United Kingdom. So like not primarily English speaking countries. So like Italy, Spain, and all that stuff. So like that cutoff is like 35. And like and you can like, so if you're like a 25-year-old, you can like apply for a visa, live in UK for a year, come back for 6 months, apply again, and then go back, apply. And if I had known that, like in my 20s, that's what I would have done.
Andrew, let's do it, man. That sounds friggin' hype.
I encourage you because honestly, it's crazy out there. Like it's nuts.
Because like if you like work in the UK, like I guess like in England or something, and like they get paid by pounds, right?
Yeah.
So you get paid by pounds, and then you convert that to like Canadian. That's like pounds are
almost. I think it dropped different? Now. It used to be 2. It used to be double what the Canadian dollar was. When I was there, it was double.
Okay.
But now I think it's like the same as the euro. So I think it's like 1.8 on the dollar.
That's still pretty high.
Yeah, but like you got to like where I'm coming from is like you got to look at your lifestyle. If you are like breaking and like working like a normal job, not a career, right? Yeah. If you're just working like a normal job and breaking and that's what all you're doing right now, and if you want to change, I would encourage that person to like go do it in another country because like you're just working.
Yeah.
You're breaking, but like your breaking will excel. Like the travel, it's proven that when you travel, like you level up. Because like if you're battling the same people over and over and over again, like there's no growth, right? There's no, like, it's nothing different. Like, you know, like it's the same, like you're going to get into a rut. But like once you start opening doors and like battling other people, stepping out of your comfort zone, then that's when like the human brain and the human body like learns, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's like the craziest out of it all. Like you're leaving your country and you're practicing. And I'm not even saying like compete. I'm just saying like go and train in like another, like if you look at if you look at martial artists, like back in the day, like they would go to Japan to train. They would go to China to train. Like they would fly themselves over there. And like, yeah, like it's the same thing. I'm just saying like it's easy. It's easy for Canadians to do it. That's what I'm saying, and take advantage of it.
Well, the issue is like is that people don't know about that information.
Exactly.
So thank you for providing that to
that was my
all
plan.
The listeners. You know, if you get anything from these podcasts, you get like a little bit of humor, like goofiness. But then you get that kind of stuff every now and again, which is awesome.
Once again, I would have never have known it without that jam, because the jam opened my eyes and it was like, okay, how does one move here? Because it's like a hub, right? Same with Vancouver, because like it's trippy because London is like Vancouver, like the people that you meet. And this is through my experience, like, sorry, Londoners, if this is completely wrong, but this is what I see and feel. That it's a hub. So, like, when you get there, like, okay, so I'll use Vancouver. When you go to Vancouver, what you will find is, like, a lot of people that you meet aren't from Vancouver. They're from somewhere else. Like there's a lot of people that are from Ontario. There's a lot of people that are from like a lot of people from the prairies actually. Like I meet a lot of people from Winnipeg. It's weird. And like you gravitate towards each other. And it's like I never knew you're from Winnipeg. I'm like, yeah, you're from where from Winnipeg? And then like it just snowballs from there. But like you get like a lot of Aussies. You get like a lot of like Irish. Like there's a lot that's happening and like it's a hub. And it's just like, so when I was in London, it was the same thing, right? A lot of people, they're all over, like from Italy, from Greece, from like all the countries, they just go to London. And I started talking to them, like, okay, so if you're not from here, like, how did you get here? They're like, oh, I have a travel visa. I'm like, oh, is it hard to like get a travel visa? Well, it's different in every country. So then I got curious and I was like, so how does a Canadian move here? Like what are the parameters? Like what does one have to do to move? And then you find out information, and like a lot of my information came from Candace, who's part of our crew. Who's part of our crew, because she's traveled, like she's she's one of like my inspirations in terms of travel, because like she's been like all over the world.
You performed at the Olympics and
and like she was like a judge at like some crazy jam in South America, and like she was like, where are you? She's like, I'm spending a year in South America. And I'm like, well, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so a lot, I picked her brain a lot in terms of like, how does one like live like that? Like is it hard? And she's like, no, it's just like, it's not as hard as you think. But it's not for everyone, granted, but it's not as hard as you think. If you want it, you'll be able to do it. And like I tested myself with this Vancouver move. It's just like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it. And then once again, when we were talking about what I do for a living and all that stuff, like you do what you do if you want it bad enough. Right? I wanted to live on my own in downtown Vancouver. Well, I'm paying the price to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and if it wasn't for that trip, once again, I would have never researched that or anything like that. It would just never been on my radar at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I wanted to ask you, I know we're going like kind of long here, but I don't know if you have anywhere to go or.
Probably got about another 20 half hour.
I just want to ask you about your personal like style when you dance, because it seems very unique, and like, why do you move like that? Is it because you have like a natural like tendency to be like super flexible in what you do, or is it like how you think, or is it something you had to develop? Like, I want to do this. I'm not really good at it right now, but I want to like, you know, what was like why is it? Why do you move the way you move?
I knew you were gonna ask that question, but okay, it's a combination of everything. Like, okay, so when I'm creating like moves and all that stuff, I listen to my body. So what that basically means is like, if I'm doing like a certain thread or a certain move, and if my body wants to move a certain direction, I don't stop it. I don't limit it. Like, I don't be like, no, I want it to go this way. I let my body do it. And then with my body doing it, it has to feel right. Because once again, like it comes down to like looks and feel. Okay. So for me, my whole aspect of dancing is I want to feel comfortable. Okay. It might be different for other dancers, right? Other dancers is like, you got to do this move. You got to do this move now. You got to do this move here. But for me, it's like, I just want to make it like feel effortless. Like, I don't have to think. It's just going to do it. Right. So if you're going to fall, like your leg's going to drop, like you're not going to stop your leg. Like, oh no, I want to fall. So I'm going to stop my leg from like stopping me from falling. Right. So I look at it that way. And then other influences come in. So like, I was really like, the first person to super inspire me in terms of like doing something really, really different was Dizzy, which is a little bit of a gray area. But with Dizzy, with his movement and like his threads, and after I'm like, okay, so threading's cool. Like I'm down. Like, if anybody's seen me dance, like Kyle loves the threads, like loves it. Like, I can't get enough of it. If I could do it all day, every day, I'd do it. But that goes hand in hand. So like, if I'm doing a thread and if my body wants to go that way, I will listen to what my body wants to do and then create from there. Then like, okay, if body wants to go to the right, then what can I do to aid that movement, and what can I do to make it like look cool, like make it look effortless and like have the style? How can I inject myself in that movement? And then that's what I initially think of. So, and then after that, it's the maze thing. So a lot of the times when Bob teaches, he uses a quote from me, because he asks the same question. He's like, Kyle, how do you, like, what are you thinking of when you do it? Because a lot of the times when we're practicing, Bob would be watching me and I'd be doing something and he'd be like nodding his head and be like, what the hell was that? Like, what's going on in your mind when, like, and after I told him one time I said, I think of putting myself in a maze and then trying to get out. Blindly putting myself in a maze, twisting everything about, and then trying to get out of it. So that's the theory of it. So that put into like making my body make its mind for direction. That's the basis of it. And then from there, it's like, does it look cool? So then that's when the crew comes into play. Like, you try something and be like, does that look stupid? Blah, blah, blah. Because once again, like, you have to have some sort of like, you can't just do it alone, right? You have to have some sort of input. Like, either way, whether you take their input or not, it's totally up to you. But like, you need to like a reality check, because sometimes you feel like something looks super dope, and then it's like you record yourself and just say, nah, man, like I'm not doing that. But yeah, then the crew comes into play. Then like I'll test out theories. I'll show them like, hey, if I did this, and this, like, does it look? And then so that's what I think of. And then the music, like, adds in, like, ties everything together.
Right.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword for me, because if I don't feel the music, then I'm not gonna do well.
Yeah.
If the music isn't the way, like, it's something that I need to work on for sure. Like, that shouldn't be like the basis of like how you like, I don't like the music, I'm not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be that way. But like, it needs to be hype. If I'm not hype, then I'm not gonna be, hype. But whatever. Like, but that's what I think of when I'm creating. And it's not like, like the biting comes into play too. Like that's where the crew comes in. Like, if I do this, and this, does it look like it? Like,
it's kind of like your feedback is
yeah.
like the crew.
The term that we like to use is feel like. It's like, oh wait, hold on, that, like, can I show you something? And then I show Braden the move, and I'm like, that kind of feels like dark, like something dark would do. And he'd be like, yeah, like, you shouldn't do that. Or like, that kind of felt like a little bit of like a J-Bugs thing. And he's like, yeah, no, don't do that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But great minds think alike type stuff. And like, but it's your responsibility to, like, if you feel like, be true, right? If you felt like, because like, it'll feel like, it's like, oh, wait a minute, that kind of felt like something this other person does. Like, to me, like, in my world, if you feel that way, then chances are like it's gonna look the same. Yeah. And like, we want to, well, for me, like, I was like in my b-boying, like, raising years from Dangerous Goods, like, biting was like, no, that's, you don't do that. But nowadays it's kind of like another gray area. But like, yeah, like, you go more further if you're like, I treat it as a dance and an art, right? Other people can treat it as like, competition, like an athletic dance type stuff, and like for winning and all that stuff. But for me, like, it's always been like an expression. And like, I just think that it's kind of weird that how can you be expressing yourself when you're doing someone else's movement? Yeah. I'm not talking about like power combos and stuff like that. I'm talking about like how a person moves, like their swagger, like how they're presenting themselves. Like, right. Like when I judged last night, I said, like, I want to see your soul. Like, I want to see you. I don't want to see like other people through you. Yeah. Like, I want to see you. And that's what I meant. Like, I'm not very articulate in a sense of that, but like, yeah, like,
well, you want to see somebody like their own thing, like who they are. And I think everybody has a capability, because everybody thinks different. Everybody has different experiences. Everybody has a different body, even if it's like slightly. So the way I figure it is that that's what you're like, that's what you're looking for. And it kind of seems like if you're relating it back to, like, for me, popping, like, you don't want to see someone look exactly like Boogaloo Sam or like another Boogaloo Sam. Oh, there's another like Poppin' Pete or whatever it is. Because like in the popping world, they call it, that's a cloning. Yeah. So it's also a bad thing. Like, and to me, it's right. Like, if your motivation is expression of yourself, and like, I feel like people don't want to be like everybody else, especially if you're going in this field. So
yeah, I kind of feel like the people, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you want it, if you want to take this dance and like be competitive and win and all that stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. I'm just saying how I treat it is the art, and like, I don't know, like,
well, the way I look at it now is that it you have to I try to look at somebody and see like what's the reason why they do It's always why.
Yeah.
Instead of like
which
what
is really good. A good way to do it.
Instead of like what, because what is like later down the road. Like why are you doing it? Oh, you want to win. Okay, you're using these techniques because you know the judges are gonna be looking for that. They want to see that, and that's what's gonna get you to win. Yeah. Oh, you just want to express yourself, like what you were saying. Like you just want to be seen, and like that's your thing. That's your motivation. So. That's why they do what they do. Yeah. Instead of being, oh, that guy's whack because he's biting, or that guy's whack because he's doing like tuts that seem like, or this move that seems like somebody else. But he knows it's gonna win or whatever.
Yeah. But once it like, it's hard. Like once again, it's double. Like it could go back and forth like for eternity because but I would much rather, because like. In the years in like the era that I started in breaking is like biting was like no like, and it was dope because like everyone, and it's trippy because like I knew that I was going to be part of this podcast, so like I was like, hey, let's like see who he's interviewed so far, and I clicked on one of John's ones and then like I scrubbed through, and like it so happens when I let go of where like that little ball, and you just let go, and you're just like, okay, what is he talking about now? He was talking about sorry, I'm swearing.
That's okay.
But like like he was talking about like what was he talking about again? I forgot what I was going to say.
I think one of them we were talking about wiggles for like a whole like half an hour or something.
Oh, he was talking about MMA.
MMA, okay.
MMA. That right. MMA thing that he was talking about, where like back in the day, like it was just one style versus one style. And then what's happening now is that it's MMAs have become this like, it's MMA now. Like that's what it is. That type of fighting is MMA. Before it was like samurai, like like wrestling versus boxing, like Muay Thai kickboxing versus like kendo. Like it was like that's what he was talking about, but it's the same thing that's what's happening now, because like I judged Simon's Jam, and like I was taken away because you got kids coming up to you saying like asking for feedback, right? And it's just like, okay, like I can tell you like what I was looking for, but to me, like I was thinking about it, just like, okay, but if you tell someone like, okay, like I think you should up rock more, and then like whatever that they should, if they take that if they take that feedback to heart and they actually change it, like, did you change it because you wanted to change it, or did you change it because someone told you that if you did that, you'll win? Once again, comes back full circle to why they're doing it. But to me, it's like a dance, like it's an expression. Like once you start doing that, it's no longer you. Yeah. But this generation, what I notice is that they need that. They need that feedback. They need that reinforcement. They need that, like, they'll now, because back in the day, like I never talked to the judges before. Like if I lost, like it would be figure it out. You figured out why you lost. Like yourself, figure it out. You sit down with your crew, watch the footage, and you figure it out. Because that's one person's opinion, right? Yeah. So if you're asking, like, if you go to like say 20 jams, right? 20 jams, you lost every single jam. You got feedback from every single judge, and then they told you to do one thing and you changed one thing 20 times. Is that even you anymore, or is that a collective of like what other people thought what you should do to change, right? So then once again, like for me in my world, like it's no longer you. You're not you anymore. You're like like an athlete now. Because that's what athletes are, right? Like work on my dribble, my crossover and stuff like that.
That's the thing with me and all styles battles, because I'm like, okay, I do like two styles pretty much, locking and popping, and I mess around with some hip hop freestyle as well. But for the most part, it's just that. And so like, how far do I adapt to the music? Like, should I do a house move here, or should or should I do like something that's that I know that is gonna get most likely get a reaction and help me advance, or do I just stick to my guns where I'm like, okay, I'm just sticking to my guns and I'm gonna do popping, whatever music it is. If it's a reggae song, I'm gonna do popping. If it's like, how far do you adapt, or how far do you maybe compromise your own style to it? And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try to stick to what I do, and then if it feels like it's fun or it's good, then I'm gonna add that little thing in there, which I try to do. But yeah, to me, it's just like, why are you moving like that? Are you just having fun in this battle? Do you want to advance? Because to me, in all styles battles, especially the point blank way to win is to kill the beat. Yeah. Whatever you're doing, that's it.
That's the same as B-boy events now.
Point blank, but there's little nuances. If you get maybe a more knowledgeable judge or a different kind of judge, where they're like, okay, yeah, well, we understand you guys may know this music, but what else? We've seen people always freak the beat or whatever. Yeah. But what about rhythms on top of the music already? Yeah. So the rhythm is going whatever it is. And you're adding on to it. Yeah. And that's another level. Yeah. But people don't even think. People don't understand that. Some people don't understand it. So that's one thing I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's why people who understand in all styles battle, people who understand patterns and how to use their body to kill the music. Yeah. They're gonna make it like most of the time, 90% of the time.
Yeah. The regular boom bap, hit that boom bap, right? Yeah. And then, but you got these other cats that are hitting the hi-hat and then adding a little bit more, but it's so minuscule and so deep into it that if your eyes aren't open to it, you won't see it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Or they'll be hitting there's no beat on the 1 and 2 and there's no beat like that. That's not how the drums are, but then they're doing movement that fits within that rhythm. Yeah. That set of music.
And you're completing that movement in that time frame. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So the extra stuff.
That's what I found. I'm like, okay, that's the formula for all styles battle. And then you throw in breaking. If you put breaking in there, that's just another thing. It just complicates it even more. Yeah. We've had discussions on the podcast before, how do you judge in all styles versus like a stand-up dancer who's killing the beat versus a b-boy who just does power. And you're like, wait, whoa, that's another discussion. We'll leave that for another day.
Yeah, if they ever asked me to judge all styles, I would say no. Because it's so hard. It's so hard.
I think it's easier, it's simpler if you say, this is what I'm looking for, and this is why you'll win if I choose you. If I'm picking, this is why I chose you. Yeah. Rather than just being
blind. Going in blind.
Because then when they ask you, hey, well, how come I lost? Oh, well, you weren't on beat on your footwork or whatever. Yeah. Whatever it was and it went against your criteria that you were judging for.
Yeah. But that's I don't know. For me, it just really, because what I'm noticing now is everybody's looking the same. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's the right way to do it, but I put blame on that asking because now it's, so when I preach, because I tend to preach a lot because I'm getting old. But when you're preaching to the younger kids, my main thing is what I like to talk about with them is everyone is looking the same because all they just want to do is win. But winning isn't back in the day, okay, I won't even go back to New York or anything like that, but just with old school Winnipeg. When you if they had a problem, once again, if they had a problem with a crew, they would go to that debut, they would go to that dance and they'd battle. There's no judges there whatsoever, but you just did it because you're repping. This is you, and you just showed the other people I think I'm better than you and I'm going to do it. But then it's all up to the other people who they thought won, right? But it was never oh yeah, we won and that was it. But unless you got completely smoked, which you got to be honest with yourself if you did, right? But what's happening is that that's what it's all about.
everyone just wants to win when that's not, to me, like with me growing up, that's not what it's about. It's about like where you're from, what you make, and like if you're happy with what you make. When, to me, if someone's asking, like, okay, it's fine to ask for feedback, right? But to change because, like, to explicitly change because of that feedback is, for what I think, is the end result why everyone's looking the same. Like, so if you like turn on like YouTube or anything like that, like everyone's doing the same moves. Everyone. And it basically comes down to who can execute them the most, and with musicality. That's what it is now. Yeah. Right? I don't see any Robzillas anymore, because Robzilla was like crazy off center, did his own thing, like Midas. Like, I don't see any of those cats. Like, I don't see any new cats trying to do that. Right? The new cats are trying to win. So they're training their power, they're training their blow-ups and all that stuff. But they're not expressing, right? But once again, I get it. Like, well, what you're saying, it's like what they're in it for. But for me, this culture was based upon like, repping, just repping.
Well, to me, that was a mind shift that I had to make within my mind, because after losing so many All Styles battles, you're just like, oh, you like, because you always want to win, right?
Yeah,
like, with the competitive nature. And so I'm thinking about like, why do I keep losing? Like, okay, maybe it's because I'm not killing the beat. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, I can handle that. Maybe it's the style and it clashes with the music or whatever. It doesn't look as right as it should be. Yeah. Because it's not suited, like, traditionally suited for that type of music. The other thing was like, I totally forgot where I was going with that. I totally forgot.
I get it. Like, but the thing is, like, but you're making the analysis, right?
Yeah, I got it. So like, I got it back.
Ting.
Yeah, it was being happy with what I did. So like, to me, like, there could be, if you have a 7 to smoke like we had last night. Shout out to that event, by the way. King of the Hill, Dangerous Goods Crew.
Good times, really good times. Hot times. That was a hot time. Just kidding.
Heated battles.
Yeah. Heated.
It was just being happy with, like, if there's 8 competitors and each one of them is like dope, then like, even if I lost, like, let's say if I lost all my battles, but if I saw the footage, I'm like, oh, I think I did good. Then I'd be like, okay, then I'll just keep doing that, because that's what I really want.
Yeah.
Rather than just, okay, I'm going to do a style that's not me and then win, and then be like, okay, well, you won with a style that's not you. That's not, like, that wasn't even your intention. Yeah. So that's what I had to make the shift of after a while, like a few years ago. I'm just like, no, I just got to be happy. That's the...
just got to be happy with what you're doing.
With your work, with your art.
Because like, it's yours, right? And that's what I was saying. Like, when you had that mind shift, it was you that was making that analysis. You weren't going to other people saying like, what do I have to change to win, right? Or because like, it was you like being honest with yourself, saying like, okay, well, like, you watch the battle and you know what, I'm happy with what I did. Like, I got like the crew now, since kind of getting older, like, it's just all right now, because like we're not about winning. Like, me now, it's not about winning. It's about like repping your style, defending your style, right? And that's a quote from Dark. Just saying, that's shout outs to Dark. Rep and defend your style. That's where I got it from. Did he write it? I don't know, but I heard it from him, so whatever.
He probably bit it.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't say that. But, just kidding. but yeah, like, and it's just, and the funny aspect of it is just like, dog, just make good footage. You know what I'm saying? Just make footage that you're happy about. Like who, off the top of your head, like, who won Freestyle Session 5? Time's up. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it goes way further back, like, no one's like, you're not gonna remember, like, and like, this is another thing that me and Lester used to have conversations about all the time. Pick your favorite crew, most favorite crew of all time, even your favorite dancer. research every single event that person and that crew has repped in. Did they win every single one of them? Why are they your favorite? Right?
Yeah.
Because and it's like another mind-blowing thing is like we were in Toronto for that Battle for the North, and one of the judges, like he wasn't a judge there, but he was judging another jam in Toronto. It was Marlon from Havgoro. We were at some diner, we were eating, and then we were talking about, I think it was this subject about like kids, cats, I'm not going to say kids, like artists starting to look the same. And then Marlon like said this quote that like totally blew my mind. He said that, what was it? I would rather lose looking like us than win looking like them. Right? So that's pretty fucking heavy, right? That's like that's some shit, right? But that like it goes like how you want to, once again, what you want from this dance, right? If you want to win, then that's cool. Like I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, like this whole podcast, like I'm not saying like winning is like bad or anything. Like if that's what you want to do with it, that's what you want to do with it. That's cool. Like, but there are other people that like treat it as an art. And like, once again, like I would rather like move the way how I do than like change who I am and change who I move just so I can get sponsorship or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like, it should be like, once again, like you create, you show, and then that's 100% you, right? What like, and like, another thing of advice that I would give to the people that are listening to this podcast and that take that pretty seriously is like, dog, like you're not gonna please everyone. That goes with everything in life. Yeah. Don't go out to aim to please everyone. The main person that you should be, it's gonna sound a little bit dirty, but the main person that you should be pleasing is yourself, right? Are you happy with your performance? Are you happy with your performance? Like, I don't care if like the judges didn't think that my shit was, they didn't like it, and that's cool. Like I know I've accepted the fact that like not everyone's gonna like my shit, and that's whatever, that's cool. It's not gonna stop me from doing what I do, because what I do is me. I'm not gonna change myself, and that's what I'm trying to, the message that I'm trying to convey to like the people is just like, it's okay to friggin' be yourself. Like, and winning's not all, like winning's cool. Like, win, cool, champions. But you gain so much more from losing than you do winning, right? It's just like it pushes you to like be like to look into yourself. And
it's an
like,
evaluation.
Exactly.
You're like forced to evaluate yourself. If you're really taking the dance seriously and you want to move forward with your dance, that's what you're doing.
That's what you got to do.
I guess the thing that stuck in my mind when I spoke to you at one session that me and Mark used to go to the sessions, which was awesome. Thank you guys for having us.
Anytime, man. It's all about the community.
You were like, different strokes for different folks,
right?
And it's such like a cliche term or thing to say, but I'm like, that's what I remember from that. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you know,
not everyone's gonna like your stuff. Who cares?
Yeah, and you can't control it anyways.
I'm not about to please everyone.
At the end of the day, it seems like your ultimate judge is you. Correct. So who are you gonna? You gotta please yourself, right?
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like another thing that comes to mind when like we're talking about this is like Napalm from Lions of Zion. There was a video that got shared on Facebook, and he's talking about the same thing, like people going up to the judges asking, why did I lose? And it's like, yeah, you should, if you guys got a chance, try to look it up. It's Ryan Napalm from Lions of Zion. Try to look up that video. It's really good. Like he basically like breaks it down saying like dog, you should know why you lost. Like you should know already. Your crew should know why you lost. You ain't gotta like go up to the judges, that's why you lost. You should be looking at yourself in the mirror saying, why did I lose? Right? And that's like totally true to what we're talking about this whole time. It's just like, I'd rather someone ask themselves than ask another person, because when you ask yourself, it's like the end result is all self. It's not coming from another person. You know what I'm saying? Unless you want to come from, like, don't get me wrong, like inspiration from a lot of people is good, but like at the end of the day, it's like, once again, your biggest judge is you. Like, you got to take care of you. Like, are you happy with how you did? Because there are times in jams where I've lost, but like I loved the rounds that I did. Like, that's like, oh, saving that, clip it out, clip where I got burned out, and just, you know, edit it, you know. But that's what's up, right? Like, I love that round, so, and I'm happy with it, and that's like, that should be more than. But hey, different strokes for different folks. You know what I'm saying?
Anything you want to promote before we end this thing?
I don't think anything's coming up. There's, I don't know if I'm allowed to say. There's stuff coming along the pipe. You guys,
Dangerous Goods, the anniversary. You want to mention that?
Did they say that it's okay to do that? I don't know. But I don't know. But, well, it's in the works. There's a Dangerous Goods anniversary coming. That's what I'll say. It's coming. Keep on the lookout via social media. You can follow the crew at Dangerous Goods Crew on Instagram. You could also follow myself at Ruude 2Us on Instagram. There's not much if you want to see Insta stories of my feet walking to work and eating food and drinking beer. That's that's all my story is about. But other than that, like there's that happening. Shout outs to Braden. He's going to be out in Japan, actually. He's dancing for a contemporary dance studio called Oro. And they're doing very, very interesting show. If you guys got a second, check it out. If they have anything on YouTube, they have a couple of promotions on Instagram. I think you could follow them at Oro Collective, I believe it is. But like, yeah, they got some really dope stuff in terms of like really, really dope movement, and like they're really, really stepping outside of the box. It's really dope. He's going to be in Japan for a little bit. What else is there that's happening? That's, I think, not much stuff's happening in Van. Massive Monkey Day in May. That's about it. But yeah.
I'll just mention Dance for MS. Jeannie's organizing that. That's coming in May. So Dance for MS, I don't know which number this one is. It's going on for quite a few years. There's also the Steinbach Battle. X Company is organizing that out in Steinbach. June 17th, I believe, is the date. If you can make it to Steinbach, it's going to be awesome. The organizer, Breton, shout out to Breton Solent.
Nice.
He's awesome. I want to thank you for being on the podcast. This has been one of the most memorable ones
hey, no problem, man.
So we just came off of a little bit of a break, but anytime you're in town, man.
Yeah. Like I'll be back sooner than later, obviously, because the fam's still here. Big ups to the heads out in Winnipeg that are still trying to do it, throwing events and all that stuff. Like I was talking to the boys yesterday, saying like the size of the event yesterday, I think, is the perfect size to do it. What I feel that the Winnipeg scene needs to do is a little bit more smaller jams, just because when it's smaller jams, it's more intimate. It's less intimidating, and it cultivates a little bit more growth for like kids that like are a little bit too shy when it's like a huge ass stage and stuff like that. If it's a little bit more down to earth like that, I'm not saying like it's like out of the question, but like I enjoy, like, and with me growing up in the scene too, I really enjoyed smaller jams because like it's more of a chance to meet and all that stuff. But like shout outs to all the people and all the heads that are making it happen out here in Winnipeg. I know that we have a small scene here, but it's a really, really dope scene. It's a really unique scene. It's a really like something that, you know, it's nice to always come back to. But other than that, yeah, big ups to Winnipeg. Rep it all day, every day. Dangerous Goods, Dead Seed, MEC, Wintour. That's how we do. Shout outs to Soul Felons. Shout outs to Hoods. Shout outs to Wizards. All of our homies. Shout outs to Raw Mind Movement. Yo, check those guys out. They're killing it. Those guys are coming up. Be on the lookout. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys.
Last thing I want to say before this is up is Yo, I forgot what I was gonna say again.
Yo,
Yo, man, I'm running out like a few hours of sleep, bro.
yeah, I get it. Same with me.
I'm getting old. I'll just say that.
There
now.
you go. We're getting old, man. We're getting old.
But yeah, man. Thanks. You've been a big influence to me, and I still remember stuff you told me, like you referenced Paranoid Android and like just even just what you do, and just me watching it from like standing back and just seeing it, I'm like, okay, that's like, you know, I see that you're expressing yourself, and that's exactly what I want to do with my dance in my own way.
Tight.
So thank you for that.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man. This, like, you keep this shit going, man. This is what I think the community needs too. Like, it's really, really dope that you're touching and making time for everyone, sharing to the community. It's a big thing, yo.
All right, man. CypherTalk podcast. We're out.
Peace.